What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take a little bit of a look at the rest of the FAQ. We looked at the BT6 FAQ the other day, but we only got to look at half of it. There's, well, frankly, ladies and gentlemen, too gosh darned much to actually talk about. So, let's go ahead and have a look at the second part of the FAQ. Translation here from the lovely folks over at Game Academia, or Academia, however it's pronounced, for providing the translations. They are awesome people, and I am rather grateful that they did, because frankly, this would be a lot more difficult if they didn't. So we're going to be starting off then going straight into the Black Digimon with Chikurimon. Now here we have a security skill. At the end of the battle, you trigger Digivolve 1 to one of your opponent's Digimon. Well, does it activate even if you lose a security battle? Yes. Remember, when a Digimon comes out as a security Digimon, the skill always activates, regardless of how the battle goes. After the battle, this card is checked from my opponent's Digimon's attacks. If that Digimon still has remaining checks, does the security effect happen first, or the remaining checks? I.e., if they've got security attack +1, and this comes out on the first security card, do you Digivolve first, or keep doing the security checks? It activates at the end of the battle, so all of the security checks happen first, and then the Digivolve, which is sad, because otherwise you could Digivolve them, and then they're still attacking the security and could be deleted. That would be amazing. Doesn't work. Now, Nanimon is just a general security card that you play at the end of the battle. Is it also counted as a security Digimon after it's played? No. As soon as it hits the field, it's a regular Digimon. Does the security effect activate to play it for free even if it loses? Yes, we just said that. And after the battle, this card is checked from my opponent's Digimon's attacks. If they still have remaining checks, does this go into play first? Or do you wait until all the security checks have happened? Just like we said a minute ago, you wait until all the security checks have happened before you evolve the security skill. Now, Deputymon comes in here as a nice brand new Digimon, and it's got a really nice skill whereby when you play it, you reveal the top 4 cards of your deck and add a Digimon with 3 Musketeers in its type and or an option card of a memory cost of exactly 7 to your hand. Can you just get one? Yeah, we've seen this a lot. You can get either the option card or the 3 Musketeer, or both of them, depending on what actually comes out. If you had to get them both, this would be a much, much worse card. Gigadramon comes in here, and on your turn, it is also treated as a red Digimon, and we've seen these couple of rulings before. Can you Digivolve it into a Digimon that evolves from red level 5s? Yes, because on your turn, it is counted as a red level 5. Can I do that in my raising area? No, because your skill is that it's treated as red, but skills don't work in the raising area. Ergo, you cannot Digivolve it into a red Digimon in your raising area, but you could evolve it from a red Digimon in your raising area, because that's not a skill, it's just how the card works. There we go. Volkemon comes in here as well, and there's an inheritable skill. On your turn, while your opponent has any suspended Digimon in play, you get security attack +1. Okay. So what if my opponent only has 1 Digimon in play, but it's unsuspended, but then it's got blocker, and they block you, so it then becomes suspended? Do I still get the extra security attack? No. No, you don't. You lose the effect. Because as soon as your opponent has no unsuspended Digimon, you lose the skill, and unfortunately that happens before you do the extra security check, so you will actually lose it, and that is honestly kind of sad. Now, Gundrum on here has got blocker. We've seen that many times before, but it's also got a Digivolution skill that lets you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, and you may play an option card with a cost of exactly 7 without paying its memory cost. If you didn't get to do that, you can delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 4 or less. If you find an option card, do you have to use it? Or can you choose not to delete a Digimon? No, it's fine. You can just choose not to. You can use, you don't have to, but if you don't, then you delete a Digimon with a play cost of 4 or less. What if I don't have 5 cards in my deck? You do as much as you can. If you've only got 4 cards in your deck, you just look at the top 4. If you've only got 3, you look at the top 3, and so on and so forth. Gankumon comes in here as brand new level 6. We've not seen this one in the card game before. And it says that when you Digivolve, you delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost. And while your opponent has an unsuspended Digimon, you gain security attack +1. Okay. So what does all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest play cost mean? It means look at all your opponent's Digimon, find the smallest number in the play circle, and all of them get deleted. So if you've got a 2 cost there, all the 2 costs get deleted. My opponent only has 1 Digimon active, but it's a blocker and then it blocks. Same ruling as before. As soon as your opponent doesn't have an unsuspended Digimon, you lose this skill. You would not get the extra security attack, which is sad, but what can you do? Now, Impmon, when you play it, you may trash a card in your hand to return a Digimon with 7 Great Demon Lords or 3 Musketeers from your trash to your hand. Do you have to discard a card from your hand, or can you just play this and not use a skill? You're fine. It's up to you. You can discard, you do not have to. It's the difference between you may and you must. However, obviously if you don't discard a card, you can't then recover a 7 Great Demon Lord or 3 Musketeer from your trash. Although that bit should probably be slightly obvious. Now, Asmon comes in here, and this is kind of a fun one. It lets you have up to 50 copies of the same card in your deck. What does it mean? Well, normally you're only allowed 4 copies of a card with a particular number. Here, you can have 50 copies of the card with the number BT6-085. I want Asmon to be good because it's such a weird, fun, dumb card, and I love weird, fun, dumb cards, and I always, always, always want them to be good. So I'm crossing my fingers, frankly. Now, Alphamon is a lovely new card here. Big, nasty secret rare. And it's got a couple of really nice skills. It's a security card, and at the end of the battle, this card goes to your hand. And then if a Royal Knight or X Antibody Digimon is in play, up to 12 of your opponent's Digimon can't attack for the turn. When you're attacking, you can pay up to 5 memory and gain 1,000 for each one you paid. And at the end of your attack, you gain 2 memory. So, usual question, do you still get to use this security skill even if you lost a security battle? Yes, that's standard. If the attacking Digimon receives this card security effect that it cannot attack the player, does the effect end the attack even if there are remaining security checks to happen? No, we've seen this a couple times already. These security skills kick in after the attack is concluded and all security checks have happened. My Digimon under this card's effect of cannot attack the player has piercing. So could they attack a Digimon and then attack the player with piercing? Yes. Essentially, it stops you declaring an attack against the player, but here you're not. You're declaring the attack against a Digimon, and piercing turns it into an attack against the player. If I have an 11 or less Digimon in the battle area, and my opponent activates a security effect, can I play a new Digimon with haste, and then attack? Yes, so say something like Agamon. Because what you're doing here is essentially adding a Digimon after they've all been affected. It does not say none of your opponent's Digimon can attack. It says you select up to 12 and those ones can't attack, but Agamon wasn't in play when they were being selected, so Agamon wasn't selected, so you are good. If I'm deleted after attacking, do I still gain 2 memory at the end of the attack? No, you've got to still be in play in order to actually use that skill. Now, the other super rare, or secret rare I should say, we've got here is your Beale Starmon. Now, Beale Starmon is one that a lot of people like, but it's got the skill whereby when you play it, you can return an option card with a memory cost of 7 from your trash to your hand, and then play a 7-cost option card without paying. Cool. Do I ignore the colour restriction? No. Why would you ignore the colour restriction? If you are allowed to ignore the colour restriction, you are told just flat out. If you're not told flat out, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, gutted. Seriously, you have to be playing a 7-cost option card that matches the colour of a Digimon that you've got in play. Now, moving over to Tamers here, we've got Yagami Taichi, Taikamiya in English, and it says that when one of your Digimon with Agamon or Greymon moves from the breeding area to the battle area, you gain a memory and draw a card, and once per turn you can Digivolve an Agamon into Agamon Bond of Bravery for its regular Digivolution cost, and then you have to trash 2 cards from your security stack, and if you've got any security cards left at the end of your turn, that Digimon gets deleted. Okay. If I have 1 or fewer security, does that mean I am stopped using the effect? No, you can still activate it. You trash as many as you can, which means if you don't have any security cards, you can activate this skill without trashing any security. That's pretty gosh darn good. Do cards like Agamon Expert and Bushy Agamon work? No. It has got to be a card which is called Agamon. And the entire name of the card must be Agamon, not Agamon something or something Agamon. If I use this to Digivolve into an Agamon Bond of Courage, and at that point I have 1 or more security, but during my turn my security goes to 0, does Agamon Bond of Courage get deleted? Yes. As long as you had 1 or more security when you activated the effect, then Agamon Bond of Courage will be destroyed even if you later reduce your security to 0. This for me is a very important ruling because an awful lot of people are going to think I've got my security down to 0. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. The way it reads is trash the top 2 cards of your security stack, then if you have 1 or more security, delete it at the end of your turn. Not then at the end of your turn. If you have 1 or more security, delete it. Essentially, the effect is locked in when you Digivolve, and it doesn't matter what happens to your security afterwards. Well, what if I've got 2 of these, and I use them to Digivolve into 2 Agamon Bond of Courage, and the first one I Digivolve and I've got 1 security, but then I Digivolve the second and I'm left with 0, what happens? Well, the first one is deleted, because when you Digivolved, you had 1 or more security. And the second one is not deleted, because when you Digivolved, you had 0 security. Having seen the previous ruling, this makes plenty of sense. Now, Matashira is basically exactly the same, but with Gabumon and Garurumon for the first effect, and Gabumon Bond of Friendship for the second. So it's the same kind of rulings. Yes, you can activate it if you've got 1 or 0 security. Yes, it will get deleted if you had 1 or security remaining when you use the effect, but later reduced it to 0. And if one of them is Digivolved when you've still got security, but then a second is Digivolved when you don't, the first one gets deleted, the second one doesn't. There we go. Same rulings, because it's very much an equivalent card. TK Takaishi and Kari Kamiya. At the start of your turn, if you have fewer security cards remaining than your opponent, you gain 2 memory. What if I've got the same number of security? Then you don't gain the memory, because you don't have fewer remaining. That is, I think, very much a read the card kind of situation. Now, Sora and Mimi comes along here, and at the start of your turn, if your opponent has no level 4 or lower Digimon, you gain 2 memory. What if my opponent has no Digimon? Then they have no level 4 or lower Digimon, do they? And you gain 2 memory. There we go. Happy bullet showering, moving over into option cards. If you have a Digimon with 3 Musketeers in its type in play, You can play it ignoring the colour requirements, and you delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest amount of HP. Okay, what does it mean in terms of ignoring the colour requirements? It means as long as you have a Digimon with 3 Musketeers in their characteristics, you can use this red option card even if you don't have a red Digimon or Tamer in play. And then there's clarification on the lowest play cost. It's like we said earlier. Look at the play cost of all of your opponent's Digimon, pick the lowest number, and all the Digimon with that play cost all get deleted at the same time. Now Howling Memory Boost comes along, you trash 2 Digivolution cards at the bottom of one of your opponent's Digimon, and then you select one of your opponent's Digimon that has no Digivolution cards, and it cannot block or attack until the end of your opponent's next turn. Then it goes into the battle area, and it's got a main skill on a delay, which says whenever you want you can trash it to gain 2 memory. Well, if you picked a Digimon to not be able to attack or block, but then they Digivolved, does that mean they can attack or block? No. We've seen this before. Evolving and devolving here does not get rid of effects like this. Can I delete security sources from one Digimon, but then pick a different to not be able to attack or block? Yeah, go for it. There's no connection between them. They are basically 2 completely different skills. Acid Injection, you trash the top card of your security and lower one of your opponent's Digimon by 5,000 power. Can I do this if I have no security? Yeah, go ahead. Because the way it's worded doesn't make it dependent. It doesn't say you may discard 1 security to lower by 5,000 power. You discard a security, then you lower by 5,000. They are unconnected. So you go to discard a security, oh no, there isn't one there. Then you lower the power, and life is good. Reinforced Memory Boost, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. You place 1 face down at the top of your security, and the remaining card into your hand. Then this goes in the battle area with delay to gain 3 memory later. Do I have to show my opponent the card I'm putting at the top of my security? Yes. And the reason is, although the deck is not public information, cards revealed from the deck are public information until they go face down, so you do have to show your opponent which of the 2 cards you're putting on top of your security, which will give them extra information, which is sad, etc. What if I've got 1 or fewer cards in my deck? Can I still use it? Yes. You do as much as you can. So if you've only got 1 card, you have to put that one down as security. If you've got no cards, you essentially play it, and it still works as a delay, but remember at the start of your next turn, you're going to deck out and lose, so it's kind of irrelevant. But, you know, it's an option. Tropical Venom is a 0-cost option card, and until the end of your opponent's next turn, one of your opponent's Digimon gains on deletion, lose 2 memory. Which is kind of mean, honestly. What happens to the memory? Well, to your opponent, they are -2 memory. To you, you are +2 memory. Which means when the Digimon is deleted, the memory is moved 2 towards you. Geralt Schwarmer, or however it's actually supposed to be pronounced, is that 7-cost black option card that if you have a Digimon with 3 Musketeers in its type, you can ignore the colour requirements, and you delete all Digimon with a play cost of 7 or lower. Now, the colour requirement thing we've already looked at. It means if you've got a 3 Musketeer Digimon, you don't need to have a black Digimon or Tamer. Do your Digimon also get deleted if they have a play cost of 7 or lower? Yes. It says all Digimon. It does not say all of your opponent's Digimon. You lose yours as well. Be very careful. Iron Fisted Onslaught here. You delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the highest play cost. We've seen this a couple times already. Look at the play cost numbers, choose the highest one, all the ones with that number go and get deleted. Could be amazing. And obviously it says your opponent's Digimon, so it does not target yours as well. Grave Memory Boost, returns a purple Digimon from your trash to your hand, and then you've got the usual delay, gain 2 memory. If I've got no cards in my trash that I could target, can I still use this card? Yes. It doesn't say you may return to your hand in order to. Like we've seen on previous cards, these are not connected, so you could just play this to get the delay later on, which you may well want to do. Fly Bullet comes along here, and what we've got is a 7-cost option card. Again, you ignore the colour requirement if you've got a free Musketeer in play, and you delete one of your opponent's level 6 or lower Digimon. Same ruling as before. It means that if you've got a free Musketeer in play, you do not need a purple Digimon or Tamer, you can still play the card. And finally, we've got Cutting Edge. Now, this lets you play a level 5 or lower Asmon from your hand without paying your memory, and then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP lower than or equal to the Digimon you just played. Okay. So let's say I've got a Yagami Taichi from the starter deck when I play this card. It gives me an extra 1,000 power. Does that mean I can delete a 7,000 power Digimon, or do I have to stick to a 6,000? You get the 7,000. As soon as you play the Digimon, you gain the extra 1,000. Then you look to see what the power of the Digimon you just played is, and you discover that it is in fact 7,000. So you do get to do this, and life is good. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of rulings, but frankly they are very important. The Agamon one especially is going to trip a few people up. That is a really important ruling that you very, very much need to know. So now it's over to you guys. Tell me which of these rulings you like. Tell me if there's any you don't like. Tell me if any surprised you, etc., etc. Go nuts in the comment section. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.